Matt Bonner says that it's Devin Vassell who's the team's X-Factor next season. Is he right or is he wrong?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Locked On Spurs here, the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope you had a great, relaxing 3-day weekend. And it's going to be a short work week here, so yay, that's even better. But glad to have y'all back. Again, hope y'all ate a lot, got to hang out with family and enjoy the day off. And as always, we appreciate y'all making Locked On Spurs your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. iTunes, Spotify, KENS 5 Plus app, YouTube. That's where you can go and subscribe, and make sure you do that right now. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So what are we talking about today? Well, over the holiday weekend, Matt Bonner was a guest on Sirius XM NBA Radio. Had an interesting take on his thoughts about the Spurs moving forward next season. And the discussion of the X Factor came up. Like, well, who's going to be it? Who's going to be that X guy for the Spurs? And he picked Devin Vassell. So we'll get to hear from what Bonner said on that episode. React to that. Is he right? Is he wrong? Is it someone else? And let me just say, a lot of Spurs fans, we'll read some of their comments about it. They were kind of split down the middle, and some of them don't think that Matt Bonner was right. But you'll hear what a few had to say in just a few minutes. Going to bring in our guest. He is back, everybody. He is Raul Dominguez of the AP Sports. He is on X at Dominguez5. Raul, welcome back to Locked On Spurs.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a while since we had you on, but it's nothing personal. It's just there really hasn't been much to talk about until now. So it's kind of
you finally got some time off. So
yeah, we get some time off. Hey, Raul, guess what? No Project Marvel talk, at least for now. So yay.
You say that. Hopefully, nothing like breaks during the podcast. So
right, exactly. Yeah. By the way, no pressure, but you're following Dr. Soup Core in the last episode of Locked On Spurs. So yeah,
there's no way. I saw some of the comments, so I know there a lot of the fans were pretty high on her. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so by the way, good on her too. We had some resident questions for her, and she answered them point blank, so she did not shy away. But if y'all want to check that out, if you're still interested in Locked On Spurs talk about Project Marvel, go back to last week's episode Friday. You'll hear what the Dr. District 1 had to say, and she had a lot to say about Project Marvel. But there'll be no more Project Marvel talk on this episode, because we're going to dive right into it and talk about the X Factor for the Spurs. Now, yes, it's still whiles away before training camp, regular season, preseason even starts, but Matt Bonner, again, was a guest on Sirius XM NBA Radio, and they asked him, well, who's the Spurs X Factor? He picked Devin Vassell. Well, let's go ahead and take a listen to what Bonner had to say. I'm going to cue it up here. Here we go. And here we
One
go.
of my big keys to the Spurs' success, Devin Vassell. I think he's underrated. He's sneaky, super athletic on both ends of the floor. You just got to stay healthy, stay on the floor. When people look at their roster, they forget about him. And, he's a really good player. So I think, he gives them, a really good third scoring option that can go off and be that X factor when they need it.
Former Spur Matt Bonner had to say regarding Devin Vassell. Let's start off with the kind of the big question here. Is he right? Is he wrong? Where do you stand on what Bonner had to say about Vassell?
First off, I miss Matt on the Spurs broadcast. Such a great guy, so funny, great insight. Miss him on the Spurs broadcast. I agree with him in a sense that he's correct about Devin. I mean, Devin's such a huge part of this team, and if he can stay healthy, he's a two-level scorer. His three-point shot isn't quite there yet, even now, but great ability to drive to the basket, great mid-range jumpers. It seems like with Devin, the harder the shot is, the easier it is for him.
Right. Yeah.
But I agree with him in the sense that Devin's sort of an underrated weapon for the Spurs. Like I said, when he's healthy, man, he's difficult to stop. Great strength, smooth jumper. Seems like it's more of Devin stopping Devin at times. And then I also love the fact that when Devin's there, I always look down. His mom and his dad are always stands, and every time he makes a basket, it's like I can imagine them in high school just jumping up and cheering, and his mom just goes crazy for every basket in every defensive play, especially the spectacular ones and the dunks. But love watching his mom, get excited for him. So.
Just quick and short or quick, I don't think he's a Spurs X factor. I'll tell you who I got in the next segment. But so I'll kind of disagree with Bonner simply because you hit it on the head. You said he's a 2-level scorer. He's a decent defender. He's not the greatest, but he's okay. I think there's still room for improvement. And I think if he gets to that level, then yes, he is a Spurs X factor. And the biggest thing for me is that inconsistency with the 3-shot. It's the modern NBA. You got to make threes and you got to hit them if you want to have a chance to win games. And we've seen that over the years in recent NBA history. So I think that will push him up to an X factor for the team. Now look at last season, 16.3 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2.9 assists on 44% shooting to the field. That's good. But he got better at the 3 line, 37% from 3. However, that foot injury, he had surgery, kept him out of the start of the season. And he kind of mentioned that he has to stay healthy. And that's been the biggest key for him, staying healthy. He has not really stayed healthy over the last few seasons. So setbacks like that for me, from the inconsistency from the outside shot to the constant getting hit with injuries, keeps him away from the X factor. Again, not saying he's not important to the team. He really is. And especially if he's okay coming off that bench next season, I think that'll be huge for him. Yeah. But maybe that's the whole episode for Locked On Spurs. But there is a good pattern about him moving forward, and hopefully he'll stick. So let's look at his points per game over the season. So rookie year, not much, 5.5 points per game. But you look at 2022, 12.3 points per game, 2023, 18.5, 2024, 19.5, 2025, last season, 16.3. You could credit that maybe to, Castle and Fox, maybe the shots weren't going to him. But nevertheless, you're seeing a nice trend in that direction. Do you think ultimately for Vassell to be an X factor for the team, he's going to have to probably do a lot more, maybe a lot more of a little bit of everything?
Yeah, I think so. I think defensively he's going to have to step up, especially if depending on how they do the starters, but if it's if Castle and Harper wind up on the starting lineup, in some way with Fox, you're going to need someone to sort of continue that defensive intensity on that second unit, and right now, I don't know if there's like again, if Harper and Castle are starting, then it may drop off a little bit defensively with that second unit. So you need someone to step up at that guard wing spot in order to continue that defensive intensity.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, and I brought it up right now. I'll get your thoughts on this. I think perhaps he could elevate to an X factor next season if he takes a role off that bench. Mm-hmm. That could be key for him in his development and his strides on both ends of the court. Do you think the way the Spurs roster is constructed right now, perhaps a bench role suits better for Vassell?
I think so. I think right now, if he starts, then where is his scoring going to come from? Because you have Fox and
right.
Castle or Harper maybe start, alongside Vassell. And then you have Wemby, of course. So his scoring opportunities are going to be more limited as a starter. Whereas if he's coming off the bench, he would be I would see him as the primary scorer off that bench.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I kind of get why you keep him starting. He can create his own shot, the length. You added that to the defensive pressure that the Spurs are going to give. If an offensive player gets past the first line of defense, you have long wing guy like Devin there. He's great at the catch and shoot. He's all the numbers right now. He's a solid 2-point field goal shooter. But again, you saw inconsistencies in the several years. And look, it's nothing new. Devin's been very open about it. He acknowledges he's inconsistent. He acknowledges that he hasn't really had a healthy season. Hopefully that will turn next year. But all in all, not to disparage Devin at all, but I really think the key for him is that bench role. The Spurs could possibly have 3 former starters on a bench role. If for some freaking reason they decide to go with Sochan off the bench, you could possibly have Keldon, Sochan, and Devin up. Likely won't happen. But even at that, even if it's just Keldon and Sohan, two former starters, that's a lot of firepower coming off that bench. So I think if Vassell was able to do that, that would definitely elevate him to an X factor leading that second unit. All right, well, if it's not Devin, then who else could it be? We're going to talk about that in just a few seconds right here on Locked On Spurs with Raul Dominguez. Yeah, who do we got? If it's not Vassell, then who is the Spurs X factor? Hey, I want to talk about Monarch Money. Most people can't name their financial accounts or even what's their worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface over on your laptop or your phone, wherever you can access to it. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch can help you. Monarch does the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Hey, you can maximize investments, maybe increase your savings rate. You can easily review finances with a partner or financial advisor, keeping a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNBA. Hey, we have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Raul Dominguez, AP Sports very own right here in San Antonio. Follow him on X at Dominguez5. We're talking about the X factor for the Spurs. Now, you heard of the first segment, Matt Bonner's going with Devin Vassell. Fair pick, nothing wrong with that, but perhaps there could be somebody else. Raul, right off the bat, my X factor, and again, it's not a cheat way to do this. I'm not cheating. I'm not trying to go around something, but I honestly, truly believe if there is one X factor on this squad, it's Wemby. The team goes as he goes. He is the major X factor on both teams. If he's out, the defense is going to suffer. If he's out, the offense is going to suffer. If he's not on his game and making other players better because maybe the defense collapse on him, double, triple teams, quadruple teams on him, this team needs him to be the X factor. And it's finally time for him to step up and be that generational player that he was labeled heading into the draft. So far, we've seen glimpses of it, but we haven't seen consistency about it. Now, great. Yeah. He loves to see his teammates succeed. He's a solid facilitator, but I think this is the year that he needs to establish himself as the man. I am that guy. Everything runs through me first. I need to see that if he does that, he's the ultimate X factor for this squad. What do you think, Raul?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely, Wemby, the team kind of, goes with Wemby, I was like you touched on his scoring, his defense, his leadership is competitive. I mean, he's one of the most competitive players I've seen. He reminds me a bit of Kobe in terms of that
right
competitiveness. Tim was an extreme competitor as well, but he was very kind of sneaky about it. But Kobe kind of let all his emotions out, and that's what Wemby reminds me of, in a sense. He's very demonstrative, and I've seen Wemby kind of say some things. I don't know to what level it is. I don't think it's to the level where Kobe was talking to different languages to people, just to mess with them. But
I remember that. Yeah, Tony Parker. Yeah.
But the Wemby definitely, loves to fire back at people as well. So.
Yeah. And I think this is his year to do that. He has more weapons on the court with him, whether that's an improved Stephon Castle, a healthy De'Aaron Fox, rookie Harper, maybe a very deep bench if Vassell decides to go to that bench role. He could have everything in place for him to really shine. He has players around him that can open up, will be floor spacers. Kelly Olynyk, definitely a big man who can spread the floor. He has backup help now, a guy who could take the beatings and take on the big guys, Cornette. So I think everything's in place for him to be that guy, be the ultimate X factor for this squad. Now, Raul, who do you got as your X factor if it's not Devin?
For me, it kind of goes beyond stats. Although his stats are pretty good for coming off the bench, but for me, the X factor is Keldon Johnson. Keldon's a throwback to, or not a throwback, but he was part of, the group with the big three. Sort of, he was there sort of at the end, and was coached by Timmy as well. I remember Timmy was when Pop wasn't playing him much. When Tim took over, when Pop had to take a game off, Tim brought Keldon in almost right away, and it seemed like after he had a good game. It seemed like after that, it seemed like Pop started using Keldon more. But to me, that I think that's part of why I say he's an X factor, because he has a little bit tied back to that lineage of the championships, as far as playing with some of those guys, some of those veterans. He's been here the longest of any Spur, even though he's still young. I believe he's 25, 26. He's still, he's a veteran. He knows the system. With Pop gone, he's gonna, with some of the new guys coming in, with Pop gone, he's gonna be able to sort of help mentor some of those younger guys coming in, some of the new guys coming in, kind of teach them the Spurs way, and his enthusiasm, his joy, and his love for the game. Even though he's been coming off the bench, it's never been impacted. If he's having a bad game, if he's having a great game, he's always fired up for not just for himself, but for his teammates. So to me, he's the X factor, because he's going to sort of bridge all that. And, depending on who winds up on the bench, because there's a really good chance, like you mentioned earlier, that some of these starters are going to be coming off the bench. I think he's going to be able to sort of, help tell them, hey, it's okay to come off the bench, sort of get them into that role of being a reserve and making an impact. And Keldon has really, really worked hard, not only in his game, but his physique. Keldon's the first to admit he loves to eat. He loves Buc-ee's. He loves going to these fast food restaurants, but he realized that in order to be a better player, he needed to get in better shape. And the difference between, I think it was 2 seasons ago to last season, it might have even been the season before, but the difference is pretty stark. I mean, you look at him, he lost a lot of weight. He toned up. Still, a big young man, still got the big body, but he's in shape. He knew that he needed to focus more on his health in order to be a better player. So he took that upon himself, and gave up some of the treats and things that he likes. So he's obviously committed to the team, committed to San Antonio, committed to the Spurs. And again, he's an emotional leader on that team. Like, you've been in there.
Oh yeah.
Some of the press conferences, or whatever, post game, and you hear him screaming from the locker room and screaming in joy. It's not him yelling at players. It's him, just like letting out, almost like a grito, or
exactly.
Just happy for the team. And somebody has a great game, you can hear him yelling that player's name out, or if we go in the locker room, he's just praising, I think Castle had a great game. He's praising Castle and just yelling for him. And then when Chris Paul was there, he's loving on Chris Paul, just praising him and joking around with him. So I think he's the X factor for me. Again, that's stats. Stats aside, again, although his stats are pretty good, but just everything he brings to the team. He's a glue guy. He's a chemistry guy. He'll do whatever you want. He'll dive on the floor for a loose ball. He'll get that rebound. He'll drive to the basket for a need to score. He'll take a charge. To me, he's very much that old school type of Spurs player that they always had, that sort of gets everybody else going.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's beyond. Yeah, you're right. He's like I want to say like just a complete X factor, because the locker room vibe that he brings, as you highlighted, the bench vibe he brings when he's not playing, and of course when he's on the court, that vibe that he brings to the team, that energy, that hustle. A lot of the Spurs players feed off that, and it's unfortunate. I think I would love to see him be in contention for the Sixth Man of the Year of the award, but he would have to his game would just have to really level up. And I think, man, Raul, is it safe to say that Keldon is who he is already at this point of his NBA career? You think he's really reached his ceiling?
I don't think so. I think with Keldon's almost. And again, I know some people, may say, "Oh, you're crazy when you say this." He's sort of like Manu, and obviously Manu was an incredible athlete. No one like it, but I'm when I say he sort of reminds me of Manu, is Manu could have been scoring 25 or 30 points a game, if you wanted to. But Manu always played within the system, knew exactly what the team needed. He gave out a lot of assists. Made that second unit just absolutely incredible the year that the 2014 championship. And that was with him passing and him sharing the ball. I think the same thing is with Keldon. I think Keldon could be scoring more if he wanted to, but he would be forcing it. He wouldn't have the flow of the rest of his teammates in there. So I think, and the other thing is Keldon's confidence in his three-pointers, continues to grow. I think if he wanted to, I think he could be a 20-point per game scorer. Maybe be in contention for six-man, but six-man usually it's someone that also scores a lot.
Yeah,
it has a pretty high scoring average.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that from Keldon, and it has to me it has nothing to do with the fact that he can't do it. It's the fact that he won't do it, because I think he recognizes that if he goes out there and tries to score 20 points a game, then what are the other guys going to be doing?
Yeah,
and how's it going to flow within the game? So to me, Keldon's a perfect Spurs guy, a perfect bench guy in terms of he's gonna sacrifice some of his stats in order to help the team. And again, we talked about earlier, depending on who comes off that bench, he may take even farther back, further step back in order to help them. To help if Devin's come off the bench or Jeremy's come off the bench, Castle or Harper, or someone like that. Then also you got Cornette as well.
Yep.
Maybe Barnes, Julian Champagny. So I think he's going to maybe take another step back, but at the same time, his stats may be a little lower than they were last year, but he's still going to have a huge impact on this team.
Yeah, exactly. The Spurs right now, they're pretty deep on the second unit, and if it does get bolstered by Devin coming off that unit, there's only one ball, but I definitely can see Keldon being an X factor for this second unit for the team and just being Keldon. And he's no longer the big body as he was when he started his career. He's the slim body, but nevertheless, he's a big boy out there still, and he'll take it to the rim. We all know that. He's that bull going towards that rim, and he's very effective of it. But Keldon Johnson as an X factor is a solid pick. All right, so that's what we think. If it's not Devin, then I got Wemby. And again, I'm not trying to cheat. I really just think that it's about time for him to shine and be an X factor. And then, of course, Raul is going to go with Keldon. But who do you got? Who do you think should be the X factor? Is it Is it Devin? Is it Keldon? Is it Wemby? Let us know. You let Raul know on X at Dominguez Cinco. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. When we get back, a lot of Spurs fans reacted to what Bonner had to say. We read a couple of them and react to that in just a few minutes right here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, what I want to talk about FanDuel. NFL season is here. It's almost here. And FanDuel is making sure that you are ready for kickoff with can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Look, you'll love using FanDuel. It pretty much fits exactly what you want. You have excitement. You can have fun with the game. You got player props. You can build some game day parlays. Even jump in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting. So whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup, well, FanDuel is there for you. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. Place your first $5 bet. And we're back here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Raul Dominguez of the AP Sports. He's on X at Dominguez Cinco. Give him a follow right now. You got to do it now because as soon as our season starts, everybody wants to follow him. He's like their number one guy to follow. They're like, click follow. It's Raul. So jump on the bandwagon while you can. All right, Raul. We're talking about Devin Vassell and what Bonner had to say about him. Bonner picks him as the X factor. Well, a lot of Spurs fans had some pretty intense reactions to what Bonner had to say. Look, Raul and I, we wish we could read every single one of them, right? But we can't. So we're going to pick out a couple of them here. Let's see. First of all, this is not one we're going to react to, but James Pledger, he put from San Antonio Sports Star, he put out a gif of Kevin Hart rolling his eyes and not agreeing with that. But maybe we got to bring Pledger on this soon to react to that. All right. Let's see. All right, here's the first one. This is from Shiloh's Crib on X. He says, quote, in all honesty, he, Devin, should come off the bench. That would help the team with scoring when Vic comes off the court. All right, what do you think about that comment? Do you think we were kind of agreeing with him so far on the show, but do you think he would be the primary scorer on that second unit, or maybe it could be Harper or maybe Keldon? What do you think?
Yeah, it just depends on who they're going to have coming off the bench. But, I definitely see Devin, if not the primary scorer off the bench, it'd be 1 and 1A, depending on who's coming off the bench. But like I touched on earlier, if Devin's starting, his scoring is a little limited in terms of, you're going to have some dynamic scorers of Wemby, Fox, Castle, possibly Barnes. So I think his scoring opportunity is going to be a little bit limited. If he's coming off the bench, and to me, he's the primary guy that you got to go to. Especially with what he can do. His ability to create shots, in the most difficult situations is going to be big. And he's going to be going against that second unit, so it's going to be tough to defend him. So I would definitely say that he's going to be either the 1 or 1A scorer off that bench if he is coming off that bench.
Absolutely. By the way, you have another person here on X here that says agrees with you that he would be the 1A. If he's I guess the person here, it's actually at the game HHH24 saying he's to buy into that role, come off the bench, and not try to make himself option 1A. So there's that. Yeah, if he comes off that bench, he's option 1. He's definitely option 1. But again, I caveat that, Raul, with depending on how Harper comes along, because if Harper comes along and there's a point where this guy's pretty good, maybe he becomes that first option. But we'll wait to see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, next comment. Ooh, this is an interesting one from Dawson237, or it's DAW50, and I see what you did there, 237. It's an interesting take here. His reaction to Matt Bonner says, feels like a make-or-break season for him being Devin Vassell. What do you think about that? A make-or-break season for Devin? I don't think it is.
I understand what the point that he's making. I don't know if I kind of agree with it, but not totally. I think what he's saying in terms of a make or break season, you look at the talent that the Spurs are building or gathering. You added Harper, and you added Carter Bryant. And then last year you bring in De'Aaron Fox. So in a sense, it might be not so much a make or break season, but Spurs also have some good draft picks coming up, the next few seasons. So I think what he's saying is that, with Devin, if he doesn't do well, he might be the odd man out. I don't think he will be the odd man out, but at the same time, say, Carter and Harper and Castle and Fox, what if they all do great? Then, the minutes start shrinking. So, it may be tough for other people to get minutes. I don't think that's going to impact Devin, but, who knows what's going to happen. So I understand the point he's making. I think in terms of a make or break season, if he starts struggling or whatever, then maybe they give the minutes to someone else just while he's trying to regain his confidence. And maybe that person, has a great outings, and where it's maybe tougher to give Devin the minutes back. So, but again, I don't think that's going to happen with Devin, but I understand his point in terms of make or break that if he doesn't do well, then who knows what the Spurs do, especially if they get a high draft pick next year and come up another guard, then they're going to have to start sort of paring that roster down.
Yeah, it feels like they got some players in case of that happening, like Carter Bryant, Dylan Harper. He's multi-positional. We'll see what he happens. Yeah, let's not forget this too. Devin's name pops up a lot in trade rumors. He's the best trade chip the Spurs have. So there could be that mixed into, let's just say he's not having a bad season, but maybe there's a deal out there where The Spurs can improve the roster, and he's a part of that. I can see that. And so, yeah, I don't know if it's a make or break. I would say like make or be on the question mark table. Like, okay, he makes it, he's going to be on this team, or he's kind of there, but can we still improve and via trade or something like that? But I think Devin would be a quality player, not just for the Spurs, but for any team, whether a starting role or coming off the bench. He's a good player. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, what you're talking about as far as, his name always comes up, and there's a reason why. I mean, other teams see the talent. Other teams see, the very team-friendly contract. The youth, he's getting better every year. Still hasn't hit his prime. I think he's 25, I believe.
Yeah, he's still young, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a reason why his name comes up in these trades, because people see the potential. People see the talent already. And other teams would obviously love to get him because he'd be a great player for them to have develop, and he would be great for any team, whether it's as a starter coming off the bench, depending on what the team has. But I mean, he's, like I said, there's a reason why his name keeps coming up in these trades. Teams see the talent, teams want to take that. The Spurs are wise to keep him, because I think he's going to be a big part of the Spurs. And like you mentioned, maybe somebody knocks him down with the trade, depending on who they offer or whatever, they may have to let him go. But I don't think the Spurs have any plans any intentions to let him go.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for those comments there. React to what Bonner had to say about Devin Vassell. But seriously, if you still, agree, disagree with our takes, maybe it's somebody else. Maybe you think it's Sohan. Maybe you agree with our guest here, Raul, that is Keldon. You need to know. You can let Raul know on X at Dominguez5. And Raul, I get it. I think you're still waiting for the season to start, right? We're almost there. Just still got about a month-ish away to go. So I guess we'll wait for that moment, Raul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then, just watching this great college football. Shame that the Roadrunners lost, but they had a good showing for themselves, and unfortunately Texas lost, so I know that sort of dampened a lot of local Longhorn fans. So, but it's going to be a great season, great football season.
And you know what's on the horizon too, Raul? That November election in Project Marvel. Oh my goodness!
You had to bring it
up. The drama. We're warning you, Spurs fans. They're Locked On Spurs listeners. Yeah, and we might be forced to do a few episodes on that, because if you've been keeping up with it, there's a lot of drama here in San Antonio. Hey, but Raul, that's what think about the Locked On NBA Network. They say the local vibe. That is the local vibe. Everybody's talking about Project.
You have to bring the doctor back. Yeah, bring the doctor back.
Yeah, bring her back. Hopefully brings the Spurs political consultant back. But we'll have it all covered for you as the season is crawling towards us. Still not out of the woods yet. Still got a while to go, but we'll get you through it right here on Locked On Spurs. Raul, thanks for your time again. Coming on Locked On Spurs to talk all things silver and black. Everybody else, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know what to do. Go subscribe right now. Locked On NBA is on YouTube. Go subscribe right there if you want to catch up on everything going on in the NBA. So for Raul Dominguez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.